you guys enjoy your whatever that is.
All right. Test. Test.
Test.
Test. Test. Hello, you beautiful people. We are Convincing Idiots, and this is segment number 3 of said podcast. I am Millennial Nick, alongside Gen X and the Zennial, aka Cat Pickle Dean, which we've never really discussed on the podcast. Why?
We don't
Cat
need
Pickle?
to.
And we don't need to. Yeah, that's fine. That's good. If you've listened to the show long enough, you know that no context Dean is the same as regular Dean. So
That's right.
Cat Pickle Dean fits. Anyway, we are joining you for our third and final segment this evening, in which you guys are all diehard, hardcore fans of this show by now, so you understand that our third segment, we like our listicles, and we like to do our personal idiot Mount Rushmores of things. And tonight, we're getting musical with it again with our top 5 favorite albums of all time. So the criteria here, gentlemen, is pretty loose, pretty basic. You can pick albums that you think are the greatest albums ever made. You can pick albums that just mean a lot to you. They could be your personal favorite albums ever made. And go ahead and elaborate on why you have made your selections and give us any other further notes. And maybe we might all just pick up a new album by the end of the night to go and listen to and tell our AI assistants to add to the algorithm. So,
yes.
Yep. Dean, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? This was your, I believe, I don't know whose idea this was, but it wasn't mine. So one of you can start.
That's mine.
Okay.
All right. So my original thought through this idea was your forever album. All of us have our favorite albums. You're like, oh yeah, that's cool. I can listen to it all the time. But there's that one album that hits your soul. That drunk, sober, doesn't matter. You are singing along. You are in fucking indulged into that album, right? So for my number one, I am going with
Greatest hits of Disfigured Penis.
Right. Love those guys.
Yeah.
No, my first one on my list is Blue October, Foiled. That album, I don't honestly know when it came out. Probably mid to
I would say
late
2005 or 4.
Oh, okay.
Right? I don't recall ever hearing. Are you talking about?
Hate
I
Me.
guess okay, yeah. Early 2000s. 2000.
Okay, early 2000s.
3, 4.
But
Blue October, I don't recall hearing before 2000.
They've been out since the late 90s.
Okay.
I heard him play on I think Saturday Night Live, maybe.
What album? Foiled, you said?
Foiled.
2006.
Foiled. 2006.
Okay.
All right. So I heard Hate Me played on Jimmy Kimmel or Saturday Night Live or something, and it blew my mind, right? And so I downloaded the whole album, and I probably played that album over and over for months. Now, they come out with some later stuff that that doesn't quite hit the same, but Foiled, that album right there. They had an earlier album that I downloaded that was fantastic, but Foiled hit so hard for me for what I was going through at the time, and lyrically, musically, I fucking loved Foiled from Blue October. That's number one on my list.
Nice.
All right. Nick, what do you got?
I am going to start off with this is probably 1 and 2 are toss up for my favorite album ever made. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start with it because it came out first, and it truly, as a child, blew my mind because it was the first thing I had ever heard it's my first introduction to what even a concept album was, and I might be taking one off Brian's list. I don't know if I am or not, but we're going to go and hear this album in its entirety next month in a few short weeks. Queensryche Operation Mindcrime came out the year I was born, 1988.
Yes.
I was raised in the, hair metal scene and stuff like that. That's what my parents listened to. And as much as I have an affinity for hair metal and things like that, Queensryche was out in that time, but Queensryche, it is cheapening them to say that they were a hair metal band. They were a progressive rock. They certainly weren't glam, but great vocals, great music. I love Queensryche as a band, but Operation Mindcrime specifically was the first time I ever heard an album from track A or track 1 to the end be a story, and that every song was the next chapter in the story as it progressed. Yeah. And then my dad used to have a VHS of Mindcrime Live, which was live performance of them doing the entire album. And then in the background, there was like a little movie that they shot that kind of, for being a kid in, I don't know, grade 5, 6, 7, that was probably 5 or 6, fifth or sixth grade when I first saw it, that it helped me kind of go along with the story, with the lyrics, and watch a little movie along with it. And to this day, every time I listen to it, it hits every single time. It's so good. And I just listened to it last week, as a matter of fact, getting, primed for the Jeff Tate concert here in a few weeks. And I'm like, man, so much of it is ringing so true more than ever in today's world and with our current events and what's going on. It is wild. And it feels prophetic, like what they wrote in 1988, and then here we are in 2025, and it's like a commentary on our current social issues. So anyway, I could go on, but Queensryche Operation Mindcrime is, yeah, and honestly, for the more I talk about it, I'm glad I brought it up first, because I really only picked it because it came first, and I didn't want Brian to steal it first. But it's I don't know if it's on your list or not, but I thought in case. But yeah, it's the more I talk about it, yeah, I think it probably is my favorite album I've ever heard from beginning to end. So that's my first one.
No, that's good. I have an honorable mention, Nick. Yeah, that
nice.
That was an album. It was a experience. That was that and that concert you're referring to there, I saw that in Cleveland. So that was.
Did you? Is that Richfield Coliseum?
I believe it was. So it was Suicide. I've talked about this before, I know, but it was Suicidal Tendencies opened, which was a fantastic punk band. Rudy Trio.
Suicidal Tendencies opened for Queensryche?
Oh, dude, yes.
That's fucking awesome.
Super good. Who went on to play for Metallica, Rudy Trio. Is it Rudy? Mm-hmm. Rudy Trio that played the bass player? Is it Rudy? Anyways, bass player of Metallica played the Suicidal Tendencies. But there was the Empire Tour of Queensryche. So that was a more of a popular album then. And they came out totally unexpected. So they played a couple of songs off the new album and surprised. I don't know if they announced it, didn't pay attention, but me and my buddies that were there, it surprised us that they played the entire Mindcrime album. It was like, oh my God. And it was the videos that you talked about, the whole bit.
Yeah.
It was just mesmerizing. The vocals, the story. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing the concert with you guys. But I agree with you. Great album. Great album for sure. All right. Well, my first one is known as one of the greatest albums of all time. It makes a lot of lists. I think it's on Apple's 100 greatest albums of all time as well. And this is an album that takes me. It also is kind of one of your soundtracks of your younger years, where every party, anything that we're doing, what album do we put on first? Just something where it's a good time. It's a rockin' album. get you in the mood to sit there and hang out with your friends and party and chill, have a couple of beers. Back in Black, AC/DC, phenomenal. 1980. Ironically, it was the first, Bon Scott was, AC/DC was just starting to make it big with the Highway to Hell album, and Bon Scott dies, the lead singer. They bring in Brian Johnson, and who they go on to write an album about Bon Scott, which becomes their biggest album and one of the biggest albums of all time, certainly. So, a couple of songs there, like, You Shook Me All Night Long and all that radio just overplayed the hell out of it. So, there's a couple of songs I really don't care if I ever hear them again, but the majority of that album is stuff that you just don't hear all the time. It's just a good, solid, grungy rock album. So good. If I hear any songs there, it just puts me in a good mood. It's a soundtrack of those years, party years, hanging out. And Dean, we're going to see, we're going to hear some of the Minecraft together, all of us, and we're going to hear certainly some of the AC/DC Back in Black songs for sure when we see them in Cleveland this summer as well. So there you go. That's my first one.
All right, for my number 2, so when I was a teenager in 1997, 1998, going into 1999, from where I sat, there wasn't rock and roll wasn't like prominent, right? I mean, I wasn't online, so I didn't get to like hear the random like cool new bands that are out. You are subjugated to what is around you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I was only able to hear what was around me, and what randomly came in my orbit was Godsmack. Godsmack's debut album, titled Godsmack.
Don had that just laying around the house.
No. I think I heard one of the songs somewhere. I honestly don't remember where. Whether it be on the radio or through a TV, but like I heard the one song, whatever it was, this song, and I went out and bought the album. So, like, to me, that song introduced me to, like, reintroduced me to rock and roll of like the modern age, because like I was always a fan of AC/DC. I was always a fan of Black Sabbath, like the older rock and roll. And like if you're going into like mid to late 1990s, you had a lot of hip hop. You had like Boys to Men and all of that. You grew up on, which I love.
They were different. That was the new metal. That was cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I heard that,
it just chain necklaces and stuff.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
It just blew my fucking mind. So like I latched onto that album like it was my fucking death rattle, right? I fucking loved it. So I will always have a soft place in my heart for Godsmack and that album.
Sure.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I say Don Harvey really resonated with that Getaway song by Get Away, Keep Away From Me, whatever, from Godsmack. He had all those kids, and he's just like, yeah, he had that CD laying around.
Yeah, I like it.
A lot of pent-up rage in that man.
There's ashtray.
Yep. He had that in the MASH TV show soundtrack. That was it. 2 albums. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Nick, what's next?
My next one, this is a similar story to Dean, basically. Like I said, just kind of we're rolling out of the Queensryche, we're rolling out of the Motley Crues and certainly Kiss and things that I was raised with. A lot of the hair bands. Not Kiss was not necessarily, again, specifically a hair band, but you know what I'm saying. That's the kind of stuff I was raised with. One of the first bands that I kind of found on my own, and similar to Dean, this is pre like internet, chronically online society. when I say I found them, like I heard a song on the radio that wasn't played in my house by my parents that I really liked, and I had to hear more of this band. And it was Bush, specifically Machine Head. Every time we would go to the Cleveland Lumberjacks games, they would warm up to this song, and it was it was so high energy, and I'm like, what is this? Like, holy shit, what is this? And then WMMS was, I mean, you heard no shortage of, Bush and STP at that time, and Nirvana, Pearl Jam were always on the radio, but Bush was one of the ones that, like, I really latched onto, and I bought 16 Stone on compact disc, and which came out in 1994. And to this day, 16 Stone is Bush's debut album. They had other, hit records after that, but certainly that was the biggest one. All the ones that Machine Head, Glycerin, Come Down, everything's everything. It's all on 16 Stone. And to this day, I mean, it's such a, there again, I can picture being picked up from I can feel like when I hear like Come Down come on the radio, it takes me right back to being like picked up from Woodford Elementary School by my dad in his old red pickup truck, and us going to Rolling Acres Mall to like a card convention and like kicking around the mall. Like we did that so often. Like he would just come get me from school. We'd go walk around the mall. We'd go to the magazine store. We'd go to, just walk around the shops. They would have a card convention. We'd look at sports cards. Like, and that was always the soundtrack. Like, Bush, Stone Temple Pilots, and like I said, all those bands that were popular in the mid 90s, playing on MMS and stuff like that. So, and then Bush, like, I mean, I've been a fan of them ever since. I mean, from the very beginning, and to this day, I listen to every new album they come out with, and absolutely love them. And Gavin Rossdale is an ageless wonder. I don't think time will ever catch up to him. He looks fantastic. He sounds great. And 16 Stone by Bush will, like I said, it's a real close second to Operation Mindcrime. It just, from beginning to end, I could sing every single word on every single track, and it's just one flowing just vibe for me. So we'll always absolutely adore 16 Stone by Bush. Brian,
good.
what do you got?
Well, this is a band that I know Nikki and you and I both thoroughly enjoy. Wearing them on my shirt here. I give the fireworks here accidentally, but it fits perfectly. On video. And it's like, what album do I think of the band Kiss? It's like, is it Kiss Alive? Is it Kiss? I got Kiss Alive 2 as a kid. I played that all the time. But, the album I'm going to pick of Kiss, the debut album, the Kiss.
Sure. Yeah.
1974. Now, it's just the album cover is just 4 weird-looking guys wearing makeup that other people painted on their face for the cover of that. But you go back and look at the lineup of that first album. It's songs that they had, just perfected, and that made it into when they had the makeup years. So many songs from that album just stuck with their set until the end of their career, 50 years later. Now that non-makeup years, they got they tried to play all new stuff, blah 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 blah. But still, when they went back to their classic stuff, so many songs of that album, Deuce, Fire. There's so
kicks off with Strutter, doesn't
years.
it? Isn't Strutter that's the first? Is that the first thing you hear from Kiss ever? Is that track 1?
I think it's Deuce on that, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, just a great album. And if you're not that much of a Kiss fan, you're like, these guys are weird, like, whatever. Just take your mind out of it. Listen to that first album, and you're going to hear a very solid rock band, good vocals, hard rocking songs, great guitar work by Ace Frehley. I just enjoy the heck out of the first album.
Yeah.
That's it. So Kiss by Kiss, 1974. Yep.
Awesome.
All right. So after Godsmack, after I learned of Godsmack and I got the album, it was very shortly after that I learned that music could get heavier. Yes, I understood with Black Sabbath, how heavy music could get. But with this album and this band, it changed everything on its head, right? So when I heard Disturbed's "The Sickness,"
You fucker.
right?
Took my next one.
Thank you. Disturbs the Sickness. And when I say, like, oh, this song and that song, like, fucking changed everything and it was great. No, it was honestly, yes, I enjoyed Godsmack's debut album, cover to cover. But, like, this was, like, the first song to me that was, like, it told a story from the first track to the last. It was the first rock album that I was like, it not only blew my mind, but like it made me realize that there's much more than just like bah, 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 just fucking hard music, that it could do a lot more, and it did. And it really honestly changed my outlook to rock music going forward from that. From that album on, my outlook and expectations were changed for rock and roll music in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, Disturb the Sickness is number 3 on my list.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't. It's another topic somewhere, but I can't think of a whole lot of bands where that was one of those few bands where it's like, again, this is new, this is different, this is impactful.
Yeah.
And I can't. I just have to think about it. I can't think of the last like hard rock metal band that had a similar impact to like a Godsmack or a Disturbed and those type of bigger bands. I'm sure they're
not playing them anymore.
I'm just not.
Yeah,
maybe that's
those
it.
bands are there, and I mean, I don't. It's subjective, but like that's what I feel like I listen to now. Like that's why I listen to what I listen to now. But they're not. You're not gonna hear those bands on the radio. You know what I mean? Like, but that's kind of the next progression. But
I'm sure that's part of it. I'm sure it's part of it. Just there's so much out there. You just have to look harder to find them and pay more attention to seek them out, I guess. But anyway, yeah.
Well, is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, that worked good because I'm just going to piggyback because The Sickness was the next one. So this was, from my point of view, The Sickness was, this is my angsty teenage years, right? And this is like, I'm loving, the music I'm raised on with Queensryche, and I'm finding my own bands, and I love the grunge scene and Bush and stuff like that. And then, like Disturbed is a whole different thing. Like I don't remember. It's funny. I think because I used to always watch like the VH1 or MTV countdown things in the morning, and Down with the Sickness was a big hit at the time. And Stupefy had been on some soundtracks, and I'd heard the song and stuff like that. And it just stuck with me. So, the next time I had $20 and I went to Coconuts or where the fuck ever to buy a CD, I was like, I'm getting that Disturbed album. And man, like you said, it's kind of same for me. I mean, it's kind of, I don't think of Disturbed as like a gateway into, but I mean, everything, all these big albums are a gateway into where I am musically now and what I listen to. So, even though it might not be in the same realm or the same genre, like Disturbed was probably one of the first, certainly like they were the next progression in a heavy sound of music that I liked at that time. And that, dude, my first, I have 3 copies of The Sickness on CD. I have the very first one that I owned, and it doesn't work anymore because I played it so much. And then I have like the 10th anniversary one that they put out, and then I have another one that's autographed by the original 4. But yeah, like I absolutely adore that album, and I don't. Disturbed as a band, I don't so much like. I mean, I try. I still, there's all those bands that are special to me. When they put out something new, I still listen. Like I want to hear what they sound like now. It's not my cup of tea anymore, and I don't like a lot of what they've done. There've been a couple albums, but nothing has ever hit like that first one. But I will always
did change.
Yeah, and I mean, in a way, there's no way to not I think over so many years, at a certain point, you kind of age out. It's totally normal to age out, and people that are your hardcore fan base are going to age with you. But for the other people that I don't know. Some people will move on, and some people will stay with the band.
Sure.
And I think what they put out now is fine. It's just not like in the
Your deal.
wheelhouse of what I like anymore. But at that time in 2000, with them coming out, they were a big stepping stone, and they did open me up to a lot of different other music. And from there, it was all like, I mean, in middle school, it was like every single day of the week, I was either in a Disturbed, Korn, or Marilyn Manson shirt. It didn't fail. Like I had, those are the big three. Like it's Korn, Disturbed, Marilyn Manson. Every day, I had one of their shirts on. Yeah, just love that album from beginning to end. It's so good. Same deal. Just, I mean, every single song has a special place in my heart and almost reminds me. I can almost like, yeah, it takes me
Sure.
back to, this field trip in school, or this day in my room, listen to it with the volume cranked up, or this thing, this, that, whatever. So many memories tied to that album. But yeah, Down with the Sickness Down with the Sickness is a song. The Sickness proper is just the name of the album.
Correct.
Again, cool album art, very disturbing. You don't actually know what the fuck it is exactly. It almost looks like a human weird man being born or something. It's like a weird, like, you don't know exactly what's happening. And I've never actually heard a story behind it, but yeah. Anyway, just it was a cool vibe at the time, so that's on my list as well. Brian,
Every day in high school, I actually had, throughout the 5 days, I had 5 different faces of Nick's mom on my shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Different variations of her going, yeah, 5 different faces.
Maybe episode 253.
Well,
I'm thinking.
We have it scheduled, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
She could be a live guest show.
I would love to have Nick's mom as a guest. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be fucking
we
amazing.
Need that. Yeah. We need some reinforcement.
We could totally do it. She has an iPhone. We've discovered Apple devices are key in having that happen. So yeah.
Yeah, I need more unconditional love feeling. Yeah. Not in a weird way. Just nice.
You guys are okay with like 2 hours of her like professing her love to me, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Gen X Brian here from the Convincing Idiots podcast. If you're enjoying our show, tell a friend. And if you're not, well, tell 2 enemies.
This album here, in my teenage years, I was like, I wasn't really into hard metal or thrash metal or anything like that. I was kind of getting into a couple of things, and I had a buddy, one of my best friends in the world, Todd Hammonds, that I knew since grade school and grew up with all through high school. I mean, he and I were very close. Rest in peace. He was killed in a car accident. But it was just very sad. But this is a number of years after high school, but all through high school was very, very, very close. And he introduced me to a lot of music. He was into so much stuff. He had every hard rock, metal, thrash. He had all kinds of stuff. All right. So this was one band he kept playing. I would go over there and he would keep playing. And I was like, man, this is just a bunch of noise. I don't get it. I don't understand it. He had posters of his band hanging in his room. And then one day, it's just, I don't know if this is something ever happened to you. It was like a switch flipped.
Sure.
One day I'm listening to it, and it's like, you know what? I'm listening to this a little bit differently now, and it's like, this is actually, I think I like this. And the more I listen, it's like, yeah, this is okay. Now I'm starting to get it. This is just good. The thrash metal. Just the awesome drum, double bass work, the vocals, such an awesome album. Yeah.
That's how I felt about this podcast.
Yep, I imagine.
And nobody else.
So the album, Ride the Lightning, Metallica, 1984. And if you ask what's the best Metallica album, the diehards are going to say, one day you might say Ride the Lightning. Someday you might say Kill 'Em All, and one day you might say Master of Puppets. I mean, there's definitely great new albums from Metallica, no question. There's some definitely the last couple were very, very good, solid, super good. But the first three albums, it was just something different that they had going. And at the time, too, it's like, here's guys that came out, all the glam metal shit around them. They didn't give two shits about that. It was just guys that came out there, jeans, T-shirt, and just kicked your ass musically and vocally. Just a powerhouse album. Still one of my favorite albums today. Ride the Lightning, Metallica. Yeah, so there you go. Yep.
So just to piggyback on that real quick, Brian, remember we went to the Buzz Bin in Kenmore here this past summer, and we sat down, and we're sitting there, and our buddy that's with us is sitting there, and he's like, these kids, they look like children, and they all look like they have like pocket protectors, and they all look nerdy as shit. And I'm like, the first rule in this shit, the nerdier the more they look like fucking Ned Flanders, the more they're gonna rip your fucking face off. And they not? Were they not?
Oh yeah.
The fucking they technically set because they literally, I'm pretty sure, were high school kids.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
Were they not fucking like the most brutal? Like the lyrics, and this one's called fucking. I don't even remember what it was. Like fucking peeled my face off with a razor blade and handed it to my mom or some shit. You know what I mean? I was like, that's what I told John. I was like, you wait, because like all the hardcore bands, they dress like fucking dads, and they look very unassuming. They don't have tattoos. They don't look like whatever. But the more they look like a regular fucking dude who resupplies your toner at your office, the more they are going to absolutely destroy your fucking world. And it happens every goddamn time. And Metallica was almost maybe like a trendsetter in that, like unassuming. I mean, not necessarily, like you said, just very average looking. They're not going out in a day where you had to try to sell yourself and look crazy and be out there and grab people's attention first and then play music. Not them,
No, you're right.
I'm going to slightly piggyback for my next pick, Brian, because like I have heard your generation spout off forever about all of those albums you've just talked about like, oh, you should have seen Metallica when they were fucking, in their, when they were teenagers and they were fucking the pubic hair wasn't even on their fucking dick and they were fucking rocking that shit. Terrific, fantastic. I'm sure, and I've heard it was all great. But if you're going to talk about an album that affects you as a human, as your musical human, before there was Godsmack, before there was Disturbed, for me, there was Christmas Morning. I honestly can't remember the year, but it was Christmas Morning, and me and my my brother, who is 3 years older than me, we both got cassette tapes, and I got Weird Al Yankovic and Smells Like Teen Spirit, which was
never mind.
What's that?
The Nirvana album?
No, but Weird Al Yankovic's take.
Oh, it's called Smells. Oh, I see. Oh, I got you. Okay,
yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I listened to that, and I was just in heaven, and I was just fucking rocking out with Weird Al Yankovic. I don't care what any of you say. That is a fantastic album. But that is not the album that is next on my list. My brother, we're sitting there, and I didn't know what the fuck he got. I didn't understand what he got. He opened up, and he seemed excited. I'm like, okay. And then later, like in the afternoon, after I was done listening on our little cassette fucking headphone tapes, I'm like, all right, I'll play his. And I put in that fucking cassette tape of Metallica Black.
Yeah.
And it fucking blew my mind.
Good album.
It changed everything. Honestly, if you want to go back on like Dean's mental list of music, what brought him to rock and roll, like metal, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You take it to that Christmas morning and me putting in Metallica that my brother got for Christmas, and I had no clue who Metallica was. And it melted my fucking mind.
Sure.
And it was insane. Like, to enough to where like I'm just turning it over, reading the lyrics every time. I'm turning it back over, reading lyrics I'm not just going over and over just so I know the lyrics and the music, because it like changed fucking everything. Don't get me wrong. Goddamn Weird Al's album that year was amazing.
I can't believe you used Metallica to overshadow Weird Al right now.
I feel like an ass, but if you're talking about how these albums changed us, I have to put the Black Album because of that reason. And I did go back. You're right, Brian. I did go back and listen to their previous albums, and they were fucking mind blowing. But for me, what that mysterious album of a band I've never heard of changed my life musically.
Yeah, they were
Black Album.
Great album. Yeah, they were definitely going a little bit more mainstream there. I mean, certainly you had Enter Sandman, which you saw on MTV at the time, even. But you heard those on the radio, which that was something big for a heavy metal band to hear on the radio. But the other songs in that album, if you're not familiar with that album, there's a lot of great songs on that album besides those two.
Fucking away.
Oh yeah. Yep. As Jason Newsted, they finally let him loose more on that album, turned up his bass, and the guy could play his ass off as well. So, yeah, I agree with you. A great album.
We're hoping to do that with Nick later.
Sure.
Turn me loose.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Turn up your bass.
Yep. All right. And so for my next pick, I obviously had to fit this band in somewhere, and it's Pearl Jam. I don't know. I've got, as far as my favorite Pearl Jam album, it's like a 4-way tie. They have like 4 albums that are tied for my favorite. It depends on what day of the week or what mood I'm in that you ask me which one I will tell you is my favorite Pearl Jam album ever. But it's undeniable which one is.
Because Brian has that same problem with the supermodels that he's slept with.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's the easiest and most common pick to pick 10, which is one of my favorites, obviously.
Sure.
But certainly it is the introduction to Pearl Jam, similar to the Bush conversation that I had, which is there's between Black and Even Flow and Alive, and there's every song. Fuck, I think probably 5 or 6 songs on that album got like regular radio play.
Sure.
And they were such an influential band at the time. That album was so incredible, and it truly takes you back to that time. So that's why I picked it. 1991, Pearl Jam 10. There's probably not. I like a lot of different styles of music. I like metal, and I like hardcore, and I like punk, and I like all kinds of stuff. There's nothing that I think I enjoy more when I'm really at my core more than the 90s alternative, grunge, whatever scene.
Sure.
And Pearl Jam is at the very heart of all of it. It was the most raw, authentic music that I'd ever heard. You know what I mean? It really meant something, and it was an emotional connection to those bands. And without Pearl Jam and without 10, I wouldn't have latched on to the others like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. My fucking kid wouldn't be named Lane, for fuck's sake. Like I wouldn't have had all of those bands that I love so dearly from Seattle and from that scene at that time. And Pearl Jam 10 is truly, I mean, if you like that style of music, I mean, I would argue that it's the greatest album made at that time.
Even if you don't, you have to like look back on that time period. Yeah, Nirvana had like the hits, right? They were the nation's
They were the poster boys
face
of grunge.
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But once you get past that facade, you see like what actually grunge is.
Mm-hmm.
And that album was like what you saw once you got past like the face of grunge. Like that's what you saw. You're like, oh, that's the heart of grunge. That's why it was so popular then, and that's why it holds up so well now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's like there's different styles of music where, I love hair bands and I love, new metal and stuff like that, but there's certain stuff. It's like it was a place and time and it doesn't always like necessarily hold up forever, but those bands
That
I feel
one
like
does.
did. Like, and I mean, I'm not just talking about Pearl Jam, but a lot of those bands that had commercial success at that time, you're still going to hear on the radio today. And they might be classic rock now, but they really carried the torch. But yeah, I just from beginning to end, man, what a masterpiece!
Yeah.
It moves my heart. Like there's certain chords and certain songs, and like in that album in 10 that like I it's a different feeling. So yeah, obviously I mean Pearl Jam is my favorite band ever, and 10 was their debut album, and like so many bands of that time, they had a killer debut album. Many of I mean I'm gonna go see them in May in Pittsburgh, and there's not a show that goes by. They're going to play Alive. They're going to play Black and Even Flow. There's so many songs on 10 that you're definitely going to hear, and some others too that didn't get radio play. But yeah, Pearl Jam 10.
Very good.
Brian.
Just an album I love. One of my favorite bands. They have tons of great albums. You could pick many from their catalog. But one I really enjoy is Led Zeppelin Celebration Day.
Oh.
So they got back together in 2007. Now, of course, now it was John Bonham was certainly no longer with us, but his son came and played drums instead, and Jason Bonham, and it was let's see here, it was a tribute concert for Atlantic Records founder Ahmed Ertegun. So it was from 2007. The album came out in 2012, I believe, is what it was. But just a fantastic live album of Led Zeppelin, a little older, but still just a great album. It was one of those things where are they ever going to get back together? Let's get back together, do it. Then they actually came back together, played a full set, not just a couple of songs. They played a full Led Zeppelin set, and that was it. They've never got on stage together and played an extended set since. So
yeah,
kind of a what could have been more of, I guess, sort of thing. But they did it. It's a great album and a great live show. So it's on video out there as well. You can find it. But yeah, Celebration Day, Led Zeppelin.
Nice. All right, for my last album here, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Deja Vu. Now this album, it isn't the most mind-bending album. It isn't the most, it doesn't break anything of your mind or the records or anything like that. But to me, this was the album that my dad put in with his fucking cassette player in the van every time we went on vacation. So Nick, you asked Robin, what was the soundtrack to our vacations as children? It was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Deja Vu. I don't know if she'd know the record, but Deja Vu was that. I went and bought it on vinyl just so I could. Hell, I would go out like when we were taking the kids anywhere. I would put that on just to hope that like they would have that little bit of nostalgic that I did to those songs when you're going on a road trip. Because to me, that is the ultimate road trip music, because I heard that every time we went multiple times, because back in the 80s, you only had set amount of cassette tapes, so
Right.
it's not like you could go through a bunch of you have 5 repeat. So I heard it multiple times, and so that album just honestly hits so fucking deep in my soul, from when you da 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 da, like that first fucking song that you play on it. God, it just, I don't know if there's an album out there that makes me just smile ear to ear and soothes my soul like that, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Deja Vu.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Who's next?
My last one. I've got a million honorable mentions here because I was going back and forth. The fifth one was hard.
Sure, it's not easy.
But essentially, I came down to, and the one I have to pick is, it's got to be 2004's "The Poison" by Bullet for My Valentine, and the reason for that is,
wow,
I would not like the music that I do today, and ever since I heard it, if not for that album.
Okay.
It set the tone into, much like Disturbed did in its time, into giving me into oh, there's heavier, this was something different, and it got me into metalcore, and it got me into the hardcore bands and the current metal bands that I simply wouldn't be going to the concert that I am tomorrow if I hadn't heard that song. Parkway Drive wouldn't be my second favorite band of all time had I never heard The Poison. It was such an influential album at the time, and it reignited, reawoken my love for heavy music and made me explore heavier music, because the bands that I listen to now are much heavier than Bullet for My Valentine, but at that time, and when I heard it in my early 20s, or late teens, early 20s, that was such a huge fucking album. And there again, they're celebrating 20 years of that album coming out, or last year was marked 20 years of it, but
Sure.
it's insane. But that album is so good, and it actually, that's an album that made me, Bullet for My Valentine made me appreciate Metallica more, because I grew up with Metallica, I liked Metallica, but I didn't have that same affinity. But they're direct influences of Metallica,
Sure.
and even on that album,
did they ever say it? Because until
they cover Metallica often, and on that album.
Yeah, I know that, but do you know that they've come out and oh, that's
yeah. Yes, they pose with them for magazines, and
it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's very Metallica driven. Their music they grew up with Metallica,
okay.
And that was a direct influence.
Cool.
But yeah, man, I looked at so many albums, but I'm ultimately, yeah, to where I am musically now, had I not discovered Bullet for My Valentine, The Poison, I wouldn't be into any of the things that I am now. So that would have to, it just became clear the more I thought about it. But that is my fifth and final submission.
Very good. Yeah, my daughter Peyton, she was a fan of them in high school for a minute.
Yeah,
so I bought her a couple of CDs and a couple of things. Yeah, she had
First
some shirts, a whole bit. Yeah,
stellar. Yeah.
I'll just ask her if she still listens to them every so often. This album here, it's one album of my high school years. What album represents? Give me a couple albums that represents fun. It's just fun, great music, more of a glam metal type band. But this is an album I could even right now. I play it when I play it. I can play it start to finish and enjoy every song. It represents the teenage years, whatever, and it just transcends throughout many years. So, Rat, Invasion of Your Privacy. This is their second album.
Yeah.
Get Out of the Cellar, which is a great album, Round and Round, all that stuff. But then this album here, it just took it to another level. You're in Love, and it's all kinds of stuff. So it was a great glam type metal album, but vocals are great. Again, instrumentally great, great guitar work and so forth. So again, if you're just like, if I sort of like glam metal, I have no fucking idea what to listen to. I don't even fucking know. Look up Rat Invasion of Your Privacy. Sounds like an old man right now. I don't care, but it's a great
I like
album.
dudes with the mascara, but I don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then ironically, fast forward a few years, I was again the
Wearing
temporary
mascara.
bodyguard for about 45 minutes for Stephen Piercy.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me
Downtown
that. Yeah.
Akron.
That's
right.
cool.
Backstage. That's correct. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Do you guys have any honorable mentions? We're going to fly through super quick. Any
just
couple?
rattle them off, I'd say.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
start because I have one. I don't have multiple. I have one, and it should have been on my main list here, but I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the band Aiden's Valentine. Aiden's Valentine was a band that was they were together briefly in the early 2000s, maybe mid 2005, and it's a secret list of the song list on this album, but it was done in 2005. It was it was a band that me and Aaron Blake did drunkenly, and shit, I don't actually even know. Like, we put weird shit out on YouTube or whatever. You can Google it, and I actually would be very surprised if anybody could find anything that Aaron and I did with the band Aiden's Valentine. But if you did, good for you, because the greatest album, No Demand.
Very big in Indonesia.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Nick?
Rapid fire. I don't have time or battery power to go through reasons, but they all deserve to be said because at some moment in my life, they were all incredibly impactful. Ones that didn't make the list, that Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent. I got Ready to Die by the Notorious B.I.G., The Used, the self-titled album, a band called Blindside, and that album is called Silence. I've got Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue, Parkway Drive, Killing with a Smile, and, of course, Marilyn, I don't stand by him now, but Marilyn Manson, Antichrist Superstar, absolutely deserves to be said as well. Oh, and the Tragically Hip, Fully and Completely. And those are all incredibly impactful and important albums to me at various stages of my life.
Very good. More from my youth. A lot of these were when I was a kid, but Nick, Operation Mindcrime, mentioned that earlier, 1988. And some as a kid, I would just, again, as a kid, it's different because in my generation, certainly, there just wasn't a lot around. You had to listen to what was in the house, right?
Yeah.
So, but these albums, they were in the house and they were impactful to me and still music I enjoy to this day. Foreigner 4, 1981. Great album, and shows how Foreigner was able to get in the Hall of Fame. The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It was a record I would play all the time doing homework in middle school.
Oh, that's good.
Mom had disco albums, which is one reason I like disco even to this day. The Saturday Night Fever movie soundtrack, The Great Bee Gees, 1977. Nice. And another movie soundtrack, FM, which you never heard of the movie? This is from 1978, and this soundtrack had bands like Boston, Tom Petty, Steely Dan, Linda Ronstadt. Just solid, great late 70s rock songs. And it really was I still love the 70s today. Listen to them every week, every weekend.
And
there you go. Plenty more. That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
We have done it. It's best.
We have done it.
Yep. Right. Another tremendous show for convincing idiots. If you want more content such as this, then you're not going to want to miss episodes in the future. So you're going to want to go to our link tree, which is simply accessible by going to Google, typing in Convincing Idiots Linktree, LANKTREE. Find us on all of your favorite social media accounts and be sure to subscribe to us there. You can also find that information and so much more on our website, which is convincingidiots.com. www.wordpress.com. So, this has been episode 233 of Convincing Idiots. I'm Millennial Nick.
Zennial Dean.
Gen X Brian.
Have we convinced you that our fictional band, Penile Deformation, may be a better endeavor than this podcast?
It's probably the best. Oh, look at that.
Did you just see that shit? If you like what you saw, like and subscribe. Come back. You're going to want to.
Ham gravy.
Does that work? No.
No, the thumbs up, it does something, I thought.
Well, it does, but mine, because I got a notification last time I did it, and it was like to turn this on, whatever, and like mine are gone for some reason. There's reactions. It's not really
really?
important.
No.
That's weird. Okay. I didn't realize it was a setting.
Brian took away our ability to do it. He was tired of us fucking with it. No, it's weird. I don't know why yours don't work. It's crazy.
I still have to try to think of our dumbasses. Like, how is that
Listen,
happening?
if you're watching in India, give us a
The
Wow.
fucking dumbest episode ever.
send us a heart so we know you're
What's
listening.
going on here? Somebody hacked us.
Wow.